Welcome to Chaos to Clarity. I'm meteorologist Bernie Rayno. Sad situation in Jamaica. Beryl is going to cause widespread catastrophic damage. That's the easiest way I can say it. And some of the footage that we've already seen across parts of Grenada, the islands north of Grenada, you're going to see that in Jamaica. I have no doubt about it. I want to show you the water vapor loop here. Let me take this full. Now, while there's no question that Beryl does not look as formidable as it did yesterday. You don't see the eye that was really vivid yesterday. There's no question. There's some wind shear, but the winds haven't really come down much in Beryl, and there's a reason for that. While there is some wind shear, there's no question about it. The real wind shear is way up in here, across the Cayman Islands and the southern part of Cuba. I think winds are relatively light in this area right now, and that's why we haven't seen one iota of weakening in Beryl. I thought there would be some, but there's been very little today, and I don't think we're going to see a whole lot as we move forward, at least over the next 12 hours or so. Let me show you. I mean, there's a water vapor loop. You can see there's not much dry air, and all of the wind shear is way back in here. You know what I've learned? The best product for this has been the 200 millibar, and I want to show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to load that up here for a second as we take a look at the 200 millibar. So I'm going to load this, but here's what's going on. Here's the 2 o'clock position from Beryl. It's closing in on the southern part of Jamaica. Now, when you look at this, and I show you the shear product here really quick. And here's the shear product. I like to use this a lot, but I think it's a little misleading because you see this little area of yellow where you think, well, there's some westerly wind shear, and maybe it is, but it's not a lot, number one. And number two, I suspect a lot of this wind is actually from the storm. This is being generated by the storm. The real wind shear, and you saw this on the water vapor loop, is in here. It's farther north. It's southern tip of Cuba and the Cayman Islands. That's where the real wind shear is. There's very little over Jamaica right now. And as I mentioned, I think a better tool to kind of show you the wind shear is the actual 200 millibar flow here. And here it is. See, here's the wind shear. It's in here, where you have west-southwest winds. I don't see much wind shear over Jamaica. That's at 2 o'clock. Let me take you to 8 o'clock tonight. And I want, again, show you the 200 millibar. Light winds aloft means low wind shear. And I think the wind shear is over the Cayman Islands, not over Jamaica. So unfortunately, this tells me that Beryl's going to do very little weakening as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Now, even if it would weaken a little, it's a little too late. So we are projecting this to be a Category 4 hurricane as it passes across the southern side of Jamaica as we go through the rest of this afternoon and tonight. So this, I mean, you're going to be looking at tremendous wind gusts across Jamaica. Let me show you where I think it will make landfall as we go through the afternoon hours here. Let me take it out of here. So I want to take you in toward the Google map here. Let's go full here for a second. So I think what you're going to do is you're going to have a landfall in here. This is Portland Point. Also, with Beryl taking this track, you're going to get a funneling northeasterly winds right into Kingston, Jamaica, and you can see how that bay is like a funnel. So all of this water is going to get pushed into the harbor. You're going to get tremendous damage, I'm afraid, with that storm surge in Kingston, Jamaica, because of that way that is funneled to the north and east. So there's major problems, I'm afraid, in Kingston, Jamaica, and really all of Jamaica as we go forward here. Let me get this ready for the next map here. I want to show you the winds that we are projecting here in Kingston, Jamaica, as we go through the rest of this morning, and I should say this afternoon. So there it is. I mean, just follow the key here. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're talking 80 to 100, 120 to 140, these are the gusts, and 140 to 160. There's just no infrastructure that's going to be able to handle this. So that's what I mean. I mean, this is going to really set Jamaica back for quite some time, I'm afraid. I hope I'm wrong and the infrastructure is able to withstand this, but I don't think that that's going to be the case with this storm. I really don't. There's the winds. Let me show you the storm surge, which is going to be significant. You're looking at a 6 to 10 foot storm surge across Jamaica as well. And again, there's that funneling in toward Kingston, but the whole south area, south shore here, is going to be devastated with this storm surge. This is going to produce a lot of damage. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that there's going to be about a 4 to 8 inch rainstorm. You're going to get mudslides, flash flooding, and damage from that, let alone the wind. So that's why I do really think you're going to be looking at widespread devastation in Jamaica, unfortunately. And when we get up tomorrow morning and you start seeing footage out of Jamaica, I think it's going to be very jaw-dropping and scary and frightening what the people went through with this storm. All right, where's it going to go from here? Well, it all depends on high pressure that's building across the southeast. I want to show you the storm, our eye path here, and you'll notice we do have a Category 2 hurricane coming in toward the Yucatan Peninsula. That'll be Thursday night and into Friday. So that's what it's going to, let me turn this back off. So that's what we're looking at. Let me put this full so you can see it. So there it is, 2 o'clock. A Category 2 across the Yucatan Peninsula. That'll be Thursday night. Now, why do we think it's going to be a Category 2? Let me show you what's going on. Let me go back. Let me go back to our wind shear product here as we go forward here. Let me go back to here. All right, let me go back here, exit here, and go back to this. I want to show you the 200 millibar here. Across the Northwest Caribbean as we go through tomorrow. So again, we track Beryl. Here it is, Thursday evening. It's in the Northwest Caribbean right in here. You see that? It hasn't made landfall yet. What is the 200 millibar show in this area? You'll notice there is some wind shear, but it's not a lot. And I'm concerned that as Beryl tracks north and west, see, here's the wind shear. West-southwest winds at 8 o'clock. That's what would weaken Beryl. But notice as we go forward how the wind shear seems to lessen in this area over time. Here we are Thursday afternoon, and the wind shear is a little closer to the Yucatan Peninsula. Now listen, I think it's going to have some wind shear and it's going to weaken, but it may not weaken as fast as you think. I thought that the wind shear would hold in this area. It seems to me like this wind shear weakens as Beryl approaches. Now, there's still enough that it's going to weaken it, but that's why we have a Category 2 hurricane now coming into the Yucatan Peninsula. And even as we go forward here, what does this look like as it gets into the Bay of Campeche on Saturday morning? What does the 200 millibar look like? Now, by this point, you are getting south to southwesterly wind shear in here. It's over very warm water, but I do think as Beryl comes into the Bay of Campeche, it is going to be at least getting some moderate wind shear. So the question is, how much could it really strengthen as it crosses the Yucatan Peninsula and then gets into the Bay of Campeche? That's a real tricky question. Right now, let me show you our eye path here. We do have... Let me close it. We do have this weakening into a tropical storm and then becoming a hurricane. I'm not sure about that. Or it may just be a hurricane and maintain its strength or weaken a little bit. But eventually, it's got to weaken as it goes toward Texas because I think it's got too much wind shear. So that's going to be a tricky call. But right now, because of that lessening wind shear in the Northwest Caribbean, we have this coming back into the Yucatan Peninsula, coming into the Yucatan Peninsula as a Category 2 hurricane. That's maximum sustained winds of 96 to 100 and I believe 10 miles per hour. I think Category 3 begins at 110 or 111, somewhere in there. So this will be a damaging hurricane as well for the Yucatan Peninsula, but not nearly as bad as what we're going to see in Jamaica. Now, what happens with this track? It all depends on our upper level high across the southeast. We've been talking about that all week, and let me show you the different possibilities here and how this is going to work. Let me go to here and let me go towards Saturday morning. Let's go to, here we go. Let's go to late Thursday night. I want to show you this map here really quick, and then we'll get you on your way here. So here's the upper level pattern as we go into, this is Friday night. So here it is, and what do you see? You have this big upper high, right? Here it is. This has been across the southeast. This is, actually, there we go. This is the GFS. This is the European, GFS European. Same story here. This is late Friday night. What do you have? You have this big upper level high. This is the steering influence. This is steering out of the east. So that's why Beryl takes that westerly track as we move forward. So there it goes. Now the question is, what happens right in here as we get into Saturday evening? I'm going to stop it right here. This is the European, this is the GFS, European GFS. Here's what I see. All of a sudden, this upper high that was here is now over here. You see that? Across the Georgia, South Carolina coast. And the GFS isn't too dissimilar. It has the upper high shifting. It also, by the way, what it has is that this upper high is weakening, so you're going to get less of a steering flow. So we think Beryl is probably going to slow down as it starts approaching the Mexican coast or Texas. And that's as we get into Saturday night and Sunday. But with the upper high, and let me take it to its final look here. And this is Saturday evening on the European. Here's the GFS Sunday morning. What I see going on here is you've got this upper high that's weakening. It's way over here. You're having this dip in the jet stream coming across Texas. What this dip can do, and especially with the upper high leaving and it's slowing down, you may get more of a northerly flow that can take this all the way up toward Corpus Christi, right? But if this upper high remains intact, is stronger, is back across Mississippi and Alabama, then it's more of a southern track. Right now, we're in between the possibilities of what it can do. Let me show you our eye path here, and you'll see we're in between the possibilities. But again, I'll say it, if this upper high is in here, then you're going to get more of a southerly track. If this upper high is over here across Georgia, South Carolina, and then you have that trough coming south, you can absolutely get a move to the north where it parallels the Texas coast and comes in south of Houston. That's a possibility. I will say this, don't be surprised if you see this going back and forth, what I call the windshield wiper effect. You see this in snowstorms all the time. If you follow me on Twitter with snowstorms, the models go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's all in relation to how strong this upper high is going to be. You notice what I don't do. I don't show you spaghetti plots or model plots. I don't like doing that. Anybody could do that. I want to tell you why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. A lot of people just show you the maps and say, well, the models go here and there. I've always been under the impression, or my thought process has always been, the models that make the forecast, I do. Unfortunately, I think for many others, the models make the forecast and they just regurgitate them. I don't like to do that. So what I'm focusing on is, where is this upper high? If it's in here, Central Gulf Coast states, and it's strong, this is going to be driven into Texas. If it's weaker and it's over here and you have that trough coming down, then you can get a pulling off to the north. I think it is reasonable at this point to go in between those two scenarios. That is, the high leaves, there's more of a southeast surface flow, and then it takes a track more toward the northwest, toward the Texas coast as we get into Sunday night and Monday. Because that high, remember though, is weakening, that means the steering flow is going to weaken. And that also means that Beryl can slow down quite a bit. And that means heavy rain, especially on the northeastern side of this storm. So take the storm track, look to the right on the eastern side. That's when you're going to get the heaviest rain. That's where you get the heaviest rain. We can get a lot of flooding with this. So stay tuned on this. For now, I'm sorry to what's happening in Jamaica. I think tomorrow, when you see a lot of the footage, it's going to be frightening and sad. If you have any questions or comments, you can follow me on X, formerly Twitter. I'm at AccuRayno. And again, thanks for joining us here on Chaos to Clarity.